Most people completely underestimate what dividend income can actually become over time. Not because the math is wrong, but because the early numbers feel so small that they don't seem worth paying attention to. When someone invests $10,000 into dividend-paying assets, it might generate around $300 per year, or about $25 per month. And for most people, that's where the idea falls apart. That number doesn't feel meaningful. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't move the needle in a noticeable way. So the conclusion becomes simple: this isn't worth it. But that conclusion comes from looking at the wrong part of the timeline. What actually matters isn't what dividends pay you at the beginning. What matters is what happens when those dividends are reinvested and allowed to compound over time. More importantly, it's how that income begins to grow on itself, slowly at first and then much faster later on. A few years ago, someone named Chris reached a point that most people eventually hit. After years of working and being intentional with money, Chris had saved $10,000. There was no debt attached to it and no immediate need to spend it. It was just sitting there, waiting for a decision. The question wasn't whether to spend it. That part had already been decided. The real question was what to do with it. Like most people, the first instinct was to try to make it grow faster. Look for higher returns, pick better investments, find something that could turn $10,000 into something meaningful in a shorter amount of time. But there's a hidden risk in that approach. The faster people try to force growth, the more likely they are to make decisions that interrupt long-term progress. So instead of chasing speed, a different question came up. What happens if this money is invested into dividend-paying assets? Every dollar of income is reinvested, and nothing is touched for 20 years. No trading, no timing, no interruptions, just letting the income build on itself. At first, that approach didn't feel convincing. It felt too simple and, more importantly, too slow. Most people expect progress to feel visible early on. They expect something that confirms they're on the right track. Dividend investing doesn't feel like that in the beginning. So the numbers were laid out. At a 3% yield, $10,000 produces about $300 per year. That's $25 per month. And this is the moment where most people mentally check out. That number doesn't feel like momentum. It doesn't feel like progress. It feels small and easy to dismiss. So people either stop investing or start chasing higher yields, trying to speed things up. Instead of changing direction, the decision was made to stay consistent and reinvest everything. In year one, the portfolio grows to about $10,300, which slightly increases the dividend income. Now it's not $300 per year anymore, it's closer to $309. Still not exciting. In year two, it grows again, and the income moves to around $318 per year. Year three, about $328. This is where things start to feel frustrating. The effort feels real, but the results don't feel meaningful yet. By year five, the portfolio reaches roughly $14,700, and the income is now about $440 per year, or around $36 per month. After 5 years of doing everything right, the income increased by about $11 per month. This is exactly where most people quit. Not because the strategy is wrong, but because it feels like it's not working. What's actually happening here is easy to miss. The system is working exactly as intended, but it hasn't reached a size where the results feel noticeable. This is where dividend investing is most misunderstood. The early years are not where the results show up. They're where the system gets built. Each dividend payment is buying more shares. Those shares produce more dividends. Those dividends buy even more shares. Over time, that cycle starts to accelerate. It's subtle in the beginning, but it becomes powerful once the numbers get larger. Instead of your money working alone, your income starts working with it. Now zoom out. After 10 years, that original $10,000 grows to around $21,600, and the income is now about $650 per year, or roughly $54 per month. At this point, it starts to feel different. It's not life-changing, but it's noticeable. More importantly, the growth is no longer flat. It's starting to build momentum. By year 15, the portfolio reaches roughly $31,700, and the income grows to about $950 per year, or around $79 per month. The difference becomes clear here. In the first 5 years, Income increased by about $11 per month. In the next 10 years, it increased by over $40 per month. Nothing about the strategy changed. The only difference is that the compounding engine finally has enough size to matter. Then comes year 20. That original $10,000 grows to approximately $46,600. But the most important number isn't the portfolio value. It's the income. At a 3% yield, that portfolio now produces about $1,398 per year, or roughly $116 per month. From the same original $10,000, that's nearly 5x the income without adding a single dollar. And here's where it becomes even more interesting. That $116 per month didn't come from working more hours. It didn't come from earning more income. It came from letting time and reinvestment do the work. That's the shift most people never fully experience. This is also where one of the most powerful concepts in dividend investing shows up: yield on cost. The original $10,000 was producing $300 per year, which is a 3% yield. Now it's producing $1,398 per year. That means the yield on the original investment is now close to 14%. The yield didn't change, the income grew. This is what creates the income snowball effect. And this is also where a lot of people make a critical mistake. They see these results and assume the solution is to increase the yield. If 3% can do this, then 8% or 10% should get there faster. In reality, higher yield often comes with higher risk. When a stock drops in price, the yield increases, and that can be a signal that something is wrong with the underlying business. This is what's known as a yield trap. The income looks attractive on the surface, but the investment itself may be weakening. Over time, that can lead to declining income and a shrinking portfolio at the same time. It's one of the fastest ways to interrupt compounding. A more effective approach focuses on sustainability. Strong businesses, reliable dividend growth, and consistency tend to outperform unstable high-yield strategies over long periods of time. A steady 7% to 8% total return, compounded over decades, is far more powerful than chasing higher returns that don't last. There's also another layer to consider: taxes. In a taxable account, dividends are typically taxed, often at favorable rates if they're qualified, but still taxed. That reduces the compounding effect slightly over time. This is why many long-term investors use accounts like a Roth IRA, where dividends can compound tax-free. Over 20 years, that difference can become meaningful. Even with taxes, the bigger takeaway doesn't change. Most people don't fail because they picked the wrong investment. They fail because they stopped too early. There were moments where this didn't feel like it was working. Around year 4, the income felt insignificant. Around year 6, it felt tempting to pull the money out and use it for something more immediate. If that had happened, everything that came after would have been missed. The real acceleration didn't happen in the first 5 years or even the first 10. It showed up later when the income itself became meaningful and visible. And this is the part that changes how people think about money. At the beginning, investing feels like sacrifice. Every dollar invested is something you chose not to spend. Later, it starts to feel like momentum. The income grows, the reinvestment grows, and eventually the system begins working on its own. Now take a step back. This is just $10,000 invested one time with no additional contributions. Now imagine this same process applied consistently, month after month, year after year. This is how people build $500 per month in dividends, then $1,000 per month. Not from one big investment, but from letting income compound long enough to matter. So the real question isn't whether $10,000 can grow. The real question is whether you'll give it enough time to do what it's designed to do. And if you want to see exactly how much you need invested to reach $500 per month in dividends, and what those numbers actually look like step by step, watch How Much You Need Invested to Make $500 per Month in Dividends next. That's where this stops being a concept and becomes a real plan.